Forecasting triggers in addition to the previous video to add a little bit more depth and more information. In the last video, we went over how forecasting triggers can inspire you to see new and unexposed pieces of the way the world works. Well, just imagine if you can cross-pollinate this. Just imagine if you can share this throughout your organization and through other organizations, helping other people to be more successful. At one point I was asked, and I can't even remember the year this is happening, I was asked to look at the educational industry, the private school industry. They were having a lot of trouble with getting new people because tuitions are becoming more and more expensive. The economy hasn't been doing as well. And one of the things that we started to realize was that the student population at the same time was shifting towards gaming. I just used gaming in the last example. Well, we started seeing them shift toward gaming, and we also have seen over the past maybe 15, 20 years, the introduction of a lot more television shows or programming that allow students to learn materials on their own. For example, there's the Magic School Bus, which is an American-made program, where it has a teacher by the name of Miss Frizzle. And Miss Frizzle has the ability to take a school bus, shrink it down or expand it or put wings on it, and she can be engaged in any type of activity. So if you want to learn about red blood cells, she could shrink down, get into your circulatory system and show people how red blood cells work and defend each other and how they bring oxygen to the muscles and how they bring food. All of that is part of the system that they've developed with this comic book material. So when we were looking at the gaming industry, one of the challenges we saw that students were not as interested in going to the private schools, also because they weren't as engaging. So as part of our discussion, we started to look at triggers that were happening, and gaming came up and videos came up and students came up, and we carried a whole variety of forecasted predictions. And it was interesting that it was surprising that, to me, the people at the top were not spending enough time learning about the gaming industry. So we started talking about what if they could learn about how the industry interacts, what type of responses that they get, what type of interactions do you have with students. For example, in gaming, when a young male is playing a violent game of guns or shooting or racetrack, they get immediate feedback as to whether their plan worked. They get immediate feedback. They don't have to wait for a teacher or somebody else to say right or wrong. When you play an online game and you get that instant feedback to say, no, you're too slow, you're too fast, you're able to react and you don't have to wait for other people around you. So in this industry, we started to take a look at several different areas, and one of them was particular is, what if we took the teachers and started to expand their knowledge of this space? Not as complicated as it may sound, but yet, win by a nose, lose by a nose. By the individual, the headmaster, and the key people starting to pay more attention, looking at the details, paying attention to what's going on, they can produce better results. Here's another quick example. Nick was walking around and he was holding his fist and moving like this. And I'd never seen that before. You know, I kind of joke with him like if he was doing martial arts, and he said, no, I'm seeing the light pattern on the back of my hand. And he could see what was happening to make decisions differently. Well, that'll allow me in the future when I'm doing forecasting or forecasting triggers to use that when I look at photography and imagery and all sorts of things that can aid me in making better decisions. One last point, tip, note. You can take this not only to your team, to your group, but why don't you bring this outside to your stakeholders? Why don't you have people such as your vendors come in and participate in the exact same exercise with you? Help them to improve their condition while you're helping you to improve yours, because they're going to bring in the data you've never heard of before. Just imagine having experts around you giving you new insight, and it could be extremely exciting. So forecasting triggers, great tool, easy to use, challenging to do, making the invisible visible. You're going to love it.